So, so good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking the time and having this talk. So, we all know that last year it was very tough for the entire education community, and it's been hard for teachers to, basically teach online. And no doubt, pandemic hit the education very hard, but I would say that it was a time for innovation as well. So there were great ideas that we used to see on, social media, YouTube, that how teachers are teaching to students in a very innovative manner. They were using many tools. So I would like to congratulate all those teachers who have been, teaching online through various mediums. So yeah, that has been really an uphill job for them. Uh, so today we have a great panel of experts who are pioneers in their field, have huge experience in education, and currently I believe all of them are adopting and adjusting to the new environment, which is after post-pandemic. And we have here Midra Praveen. She is director and principal of Craft World School, Kochi, and she has close to 8 years of experience in education. She's also the recipient of the Outstanding Leadership Principal of the Year Award. And then we have is Ms. Jahanara Khan. So she is an academic expert and content creator and has a vast experience in providing trainings and consultancies to educational institutions across Kerala and Mumbai. And then we have Dr. Rajiv Kumar Maheshwari, who again has a vast experience. He's currently heading the School of Management Studies at CT University. So, ma'am, so the topic is blended learning. Just to give a brief introduction to everyone about blended learning. So blended learning is nothing but it's an educational practice which we all are adopting or somehow have adopted unknowingly. A combination of digital tools and traditional classroom teaching. So to start off with that, I would like to start off with Jahanara ma'am, because she is into content, and I feel that when when we talk about blended learning, content plays a very important role because it's over the internet we're teaching, and sometimes, like, we all know that by now every teacher who is teaching online is fed up of teaching online. So ma'am, I would like I like the format is like we decided that we'll give 10 minutes to everybody. So and give subtopics about it. So I'll start off with you, that what is the role of content in this blended learning mode?
Um, Harshpal, I would like to share my screen. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
How do I share my screen?
Yeah, I'm making you host, right?
Am I the host now?
Making you the host. You are the host now.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. See, firstly, we need to understand why this question, why we need blended learning, and what is the scenario at present. We have to understand the need for the thing that we are talking about right now. See, education of over 152 crore students has been disrupted globally after schools were abruptly shut due to lockdown. This is really a disturbing fact. It's not only about India. All around the world, this is a striking number actually, and it might not be the exact data. It might be something lesser than that. So this is something we need to understand, and we'll understand what and why is about it. See, 1.5 million schools remained shut during 2020. It impacted 247 million children and those who were enrolled in elementary. And when we talk about the secondary, according to UNICEF's report, around 25% of the secondary school students are dropping out of school. When we talk about back home, it's in India, northwestern states and Madhya Pradesh. These are ranking high in the school dropouts. So it is 36% of the students do not have internet access. This is according to this November 2021 report. So the question is, what are we trying to blend and how much we are trying to blend? That is the question. So I'll just go beyond the data. I need to stop sharing now. You can now let me come to my specific or I would say my comfort zone. See, earlier I'll tell you because I have seen the transition as a content developer and as a teacher, as a school manager. What happened earlier? Content developer was a separate entity other than the teachers. Now the teachers themselves are becoming a combo package because they are developing the content and they are delivering it too. Earlier we used to deliver the lesson plans and how it has to be delivered, each and every statement, even what the teacher is going to say in the class, that was to be part of our lesson plans that we used to supply to the dependent schools, because there were schools interiors of Maharashtra or other places. They didn't have that confidence to handle the smart class on their own and an alien topic that they are teaching for the first time. So they used to rely word by word on the content developed by the content developers. But now their demand has gone down since the teacher, that is every other teacher, is doing something on the laptop, computer, even the phone. Earlier phone was just something like and share pictures and run your WhatsApp University. That was it used for. But now it has become part of it's a very important thing the teachers are using. There are multiple applications that free downloadable teachers are doing, and they are actually surprising us content developers. I mean, they are setting us out of job. Every content developer, even if you see the salary packages, earlier what was offered to the content developer, now anyway pandemic has impacted the salary scale, but content developers are not the rare community now. They are that is every teacher herself himself has to be by default a content developer. So that is the first I would say a tragic change or shift, I can say. But on a positive note, I can say this has empowered the teacher. Because when I taught a chapter, say some 3 years ago, I taught a chapter, the fun they had in an English textbook, and the lesson talked about 50 years later when teaching will be online, robotic and all that, and I used to think maybe my grandchildren will be learning like that. I didn't know my own children are learning that way, and it's all. So this corona has given a sudden shift. It's like it's unimaginable speed it has given to the changes that we could not estimate or conjecture just 2 years ago. But now it's surprising rapid speed. I would say lightning speed. Something that I imagine could happen 20-50 years later is happening in my life in front of me, and I am becoming part of the change by default. It's not my willingness or any teacher's willingness or any parents. In fact, when we talk about the parents have become 50% of the teachers. We have to take the facts. Now what happens when we talk about content and blending it? It's really important. We'll talk about some more facts from primary education to university level. Earlier, if I think about a university which is far away or the fees I cannot afford, I could not even dream of joining that university. But now since it's online, universities are offering some online courses which are relatively cheaper and affordable. Not only I can think I can join those courses, And even universities are introducing some scientific research on corona, and people are madly rushing to it and joining and enrolling it. So it's in fact there is so much available about corona. Why would anybody need to enroll for a course, something which I could learn for free? For that also I'm paying. Why? Because I'm thinking, oh, it's cheaper than that, because I have that comparison. So that way it is blending. But now we have to understand how much we can blend. If we talk about the common Indian, as you saw the facts, 36% of the students do not have internet access. There were so many videos and images doing the rounds on internet virally, a child climbing on the treetop and learning, and we say, wow, very good, shabash. But it's pathetic that the child had to do that. That situation itself is so disturbing, that why does a child have to do that? Yes, she did it, commendable, but look at our situation. We do not have something which we are leading to. We are talking about what digital India. So it's irony of the situation, and that it's like a curtain raiser, or it's, I would say, it's unraveling of the truth that is happening within the interiors of India. Now here comes the role of the teacher come content developer. There are multiple ways how we have to handle blended learning. I'll talk about the two basic which we can have as I would appreciate. I just keep forgetting this platform what we are using. So earlier some LMSs were in picture, but they were serving to or catering to high profile schools, adding becoming companion for their smart classes. Nobody had predicted that this is going to be something which we cannot survive without. You are existing even, I think, more than 4 years, but you too did not imagine that something like this is going to happen, that we are going to become part of something which the school cannot get rid of. Now there are so many LMSs, that is learning management systems. We thought a normal school or middle class person's school won't have an access to it, but now it is. But still, if we are talking about a general Indian scenario, the teacher has to develop the content thinking that two ways. First is, either I'll call the students in a traditional classroom, that is the real time classroom, where I can explain the task and assign the task, and the assigned task can be discussed virtually. The other thing is, you can assign the task virtually and give a feedback and have a follow up discussion on it in the real time classroom. These are the very practical and very very common sense kind of solutions, I would say. But here how the teachers are doing it, they have to have the plan B always ready. When you prepare a lesson plan, and if you really wish to stick to it, some schools are just let's run it somehow, let's give some A plus B plus, nobody should get anything less than C, even if he writes nothing, we just give it. Because but what is happening at the end of the day, the child who is coming out of school after this pandemic, anyway the image the world has is, this is pandemic graduate, I can't hire you. Because my own home, my niece has done architecture, last year was her final year. She is finding it difficult to get a job. They are saying you are a pandemic graduate. So it's like a tarnished spot. So even somebody who has worked hard is not accepted wholeheartedly.
Okay.
But
So I just want to, because Rajiv sir just smiled on it when somebody said you don't have pandemic graduation, I'm not going to hire. There was a smile on Rajiv sir, because he's person who's running, he's a part of a university here in Punjab, and sir, I'll come back to you. Let
Sure,
ma'am
sure,
please
please.
continue.
so this is now let me just drift from the teaching content to the social media content. This was about the teaching content, how the teacher has to develop thinking what I'm going to do. Am I doing the first part real time, or I'm doing the second part real time? According to that, the content should be developed for teaching purpose. Now when we talk about the content that the schools deliver or publish on the social platform, say Facebook page or anything that they have. Now one thing the teachers can do is, if the school is so humanitarian, they can have some free access I remember some local newspapers, I would say Urdu newspapers and Hindi newspapers long back when I was in grade 10 and plus 2. They used to have math solutions printed in the newspaper. So the children who do not have access to internet or devices, they can at least study the same thing as a script of your lesson plan. The schools can do this is one thing, and this is, I would say, a strategy of publication, publicity strategy for the school to reach out to far out, that is one thing. Second is, you can have your lessons running on your social, that is your YouTube channel, which you can share on your various platforms. So it is, I would say, definitely everything we do it to sell. At the end of the day, we want money, we want to pay our teachers. So if it sells, so make it sellable. Even you don't never know, your school channel may have advertisements, you may get through promotions and all that, you never know. So what happens, if your teachers are efficient enough, you can have some classes recorded which you can release on YouTube, your school specific YouTube channel. And the students who are not able to join the real time class, or some kind of demo feedbacks, you can have the lessons that you have given virtually with a follow up real time class, and there might be definitely students who are not able to join. For them, you can have a demo feedback class which you can run as a YouTube video. This is like hitting two birds, multiple birds with your same stone. You can have your publicity too, you can help the children who do not have access. Thirdly, definitely when he has YouTube. But one thing which is very ironical, I'll say again, you see on TikTok, some village woman is blowing that chula and making chapatis. She has TikTok, she has internet access, and the student doesn't have an access for online class. It's so funnily ironic. There are dancers dancing in front of the bricklaying factory. There are grandmas who's doing this tutting videos of finger dance and all that. So I sometimes I just get baffled. What is happening in India? We have TikTok in the interiors for people to upload dance videos, and they're making chapatis and putting on Instagram reels. But for education, there is it is alarming. 36% of students do not have. So the ground reality might be something. The figures are telling something, but the TikTok videos are telling something really.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
So
true. That's true because uh, we no doubt say that now internet is because as a founder of Tab School, have been dealing with schools in the interiors of India. So we still face this issue that we don't want to buy a software because we have an internet issue, right? And we are surprised those kids do have an access to Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat. So all that is there, but when it comes to learning, they have this, okay, we don't want to go do it online. So coming back to sir, Rajiv Kumar sir, you are in a university, and I'm sure university has its own challenges as compared to a school or a kid from a school. So what is the changes that you've seen in, I think overall, I would say that in the teachers, in the, I mean, educators, your professors, your students, even now that you have opened up, your university or your, college.
Thanks, Harsh. I was just listening to Ma'am Khan, and a very interesting aspect has come out, the content part of it. I'll come to that later. But before I continue, I would just like to share a small survey,
Right.
and that was undertaken by me, as a matter of fact, and another PhD scholar,
Right.
as to what has happened, transpired to the education scenario, ecosystem during the pandemic, which became the foundation for us to design certain strategies for post-pandemic, education delivery, as a matter of fact. So now we all know that COVID-19, has disrupted teaching all over the world. That's a given fact. And educational institutions, as varied as schools, both primary, secondary, the undergraduates, the postgraduates, the vocational skills and the professional education systems, they all had their varied challenges, and they adopted different methodologies. The survey that I took place was, in the first part of the survey, the students were asked to enter their demographic details. So it's a very inclusive type of a survey that has students from the age of 16 to the age of 30, 31, as a matter of fact. They are from in which semester they are, which year of education they are, and do they belong to the rural strata or the semi-urban or the urban strata, the male, the females, and they have to describe their IT skills and the states they belong to, and whether they have been familiar to the online surveys, online classes. All these details were gathered. And in the second part, the respondents were given a set of questions. As a matter of fact, 6 set of questions regarding what are the advantages and disadvantages of e-learning that they have faced as of now, and so that we could design something, a bottom line for ourselves from where to begin with. And in the third part, the respondents had to compare using the Likert scale, the 5-point Likert scale. What is the difference between face-to-face learning and online learning in terms of ability to master learning objectives? And students were also asked to rate their activities during the classes. And in the last part, the students were asked to rate the level of acceptance for the online classes so that it could become a base for a blended learning model that we wish to introduce. And we have introduced, as a matter of fact, and how well successful we are, I'll discuss that at the end. And the result that I'm just sharing the result of it, that advantages of online learning, I'll share first. The students felt that they have access to online study materials, 68% of them, respondents. And the learning on their own pace was another advantage the students found, and 64% of the respondents were positive on that. And ability to stay at home. So this was considered as an advantage. They found that faring up and down the school was a wastage of time. And the class interactivity, now this is something very unique feedback. It was an advantage only for 3% of the students. So it was a disadvantage. Classes interactivity. And ability to record a meeting, only 23% of the student respondents had this facility. And comfortable surroundings, again, as Ma'am Jahana was saying, that some of the students from the rural background didn't have that ambience that they could study well. And the disadvantages of learning was that there was a reduced interaction with the teachers, with the taught, about 47%. And there were technical issues, internet, connectivity, all these things. Lack of interaction with faculty and peers, and poor learning conditions at home, 18%. Lack of self-discipline. This is something very important because the Indian student is not attuned to self-learning.
Right.
And lack of self-discipline, that is it. Right. And social isolation, which led to stress levels. If we talk of cognitive psychology of a learner, this has got a big issue here. And compared to face-to-face and online learning, when we do a comparison, statistically, there was not much of a difference in the knowledge being gathered by the student, as a matter of fact. So this means online learning and face-to-face learning, so far as the knowledge gathering is concerned, is identical. Why I smiled when ma'am said that a pandemic student was basically, I have a number of students in touch
just
with
to interrupt you, just sorry, sir.
Yeah.
Ma'am, Janana ma'am, can you make me the host? Actually, I made you the host. Yeah. Thanks. Sir, please continue.
So I find that number of students undertook online internships, and they were paid for that. They got PPOs also, and they're doing wonderfully well. But yes, there were challenges, no doubt, but it was the call of the student to come up front and be, creative enough to take up the challenge. Maybe the mentorship was missing somewhere. That was it. This is what I think. And acceptance of e-learning, I would say, yes, 73% respondents rated e-learning as enjoyable. And this is very good feedback. And 27% of students did not like online learning. And statistically, no difference between the answers by students in the years of their studies, as a matter of fact. All the students found things in this. So what conclusion that we reached from this survey was that remote access and ease of access to educational material and ability to choose the time and place to study were shown as the strongest advantage of online learning amongst respondents in our survey. I'll just blend it with the strategy we adopted here at City University, that we today are offering Harvard Business School online courses, 9 of them, to our students and the faculty both, so that they can upskill themselves. Now, this is a self-paced courses.
So we lost you. Sir, we lost you.
Also offering, am I there?
Yeah, you're audible now.
Okay. And we are also offering online courses from IBM in artificial intelligence and business analytics to the students of CSC, to the students of business management, and they are really adopting it very well. And then e-learning enables learning material to be quickly delivered to the students. It can be standardized, and if needed, it can be updated. As Ma'am Jahanara just said, that what could be imagined 3 years, 4 years, 5 years down the line, that can be, we can have it on with us in the next 3 days. Yeah. That's it. So this is what has happened. So content can be delivered to students using 2 different approaches. It could be self-directed. It could be instructor-led learning. This is the pedagogy, as a matter of fact, I'm discussing about. These are the discussions we had. And but then e-learning is not about, not without its disadvantages. The main problems of the respondents of the survey was the lack of interaction for a practical course. Now, this is something very, very important to understand. For a practical course, this means students from the medical stream, the science streams, where you had practical classes, they have to have a very innovative approach for an online learning program. Yeah. And technical issues were the second major disadvantage of e-learning, but with the Indian, backbone spectrum coming up, and to be very honest, it did perform very well under such stress levels, with so many internet people joining in for classes, but then it did wonders, I would say. Right. And e-learning does increase knowledge to the same extent as traditional learning. Now, based on these observations, which I've just discussed, which were based on a study that we did here, we had 3 different areas, focus areas for us. The first was that based upon Washington Accord, methodology of imparting education, higher education, we had an outcome-based education model with us. This is what we have with us today, where we have program educational outcomes, very well defined program educational outcomes. We have course outcomes, and we have a very standardized and very meticulously prepared lecture plans, where we have a 60 hours contact hours for every course for a student of a UG or a PG program over the semester system. We have a semester system here. We have an excellent ERP, for a follow-up, and we have a learning management system that helps us here, as a matter of fact, and it's in place. And what 3 different things we focused upon was the curricular design. Now, here I would say the content also comes in. The curricular design was in such a way that whatever is contemporary does come in, and it is updated. And here what we have is, we have board of studies, which are called every year, and we display our course curriculum to them, and they approve of it, or they disapprove of it, or they like us to make some changes. There are people from the industry, there are people from the academia, and there are people from international, where we send our study material to them, our courses, syllabi to them for their comments, and we update ourselves. And the second part is the pedagogy, how the content has to be delivered. For face-to-face delivery of the content, it's the ability of the teacher to connect, how well he is in his communication skills. But when it comes to online learning, it becomes very, very challenging, as a matter of fact, because to engage a student who is not in front of you, as a matter of fact, that is the most difficult part. So this is here we had special FDPs conducted for our faculty members as to what they can do. They could go for a small quiz, they could go for a poll, they could go for a discussion or case studies, and when they have to introduce these things in the class so that the participation of the student and the alertness of the student is maintained. So this was the second part. And the third part was the assessment. Now, this is something very important. We had hired a third-party assessment platform, for as a matter of fact, which was very transparent and independent. And the teachers were just involved in the questions, as a matter of fact. And it was an MCQ sort of question, your question, and a question bank was given from where at random the questions were picked up, so that we had a very fair assessment, because we didn't want any biasness to come in, and the student should feel that they are being assessed rightly, correctly, as a matter of fact. And this is how we, continued, and we are doing it like this. So we are putting it together. I would say we think in terms of what the students are going to do or deal with on any day, and ensure that we plan a course that varies the student experience. We use videos, we use case studies, we use class discussions, and we use group tasks. And with the help of the LMS, what we do is that we have breakup groups, and we have one-to-one chat with the students for the difficulties. This is the advantage of ICT that I think which has come into the education system, the delivery part. And as so far as the blending education is concerned, we are now in a position to hire experts anywhere from the world, as a matter of fact, to interact with our students online. They can chat in the evening, or they can chat on Sundays, on holidays, and then they can give the best of content, the best of experiences to the students, where they can grow themselves intellectually and as well as their personality. So this is what we are adopted here at City University. And I think we had at one time discussing about Canvas and Blackboard, as a matter of fact. And but then we are now into our own self-made ERP and LMS with us. So this is about what we had. Thank you so much.
Okay. So I have, there's a lot of interesting insights that I get to hear, but I have a very quick question of myself.
Yeah.
Like all three experts are here. Is blended learning just a buzzword, or is it really a reality where schools are looking forward to adopt this? I mean, anybody can take up, and Mridula ma'am hasn't spoken. So ma'am, you can give the answer of this. Is this just a buzzword?
Yes, definitely, I would say. Not even during the pandemic times, even as a world school, we have been practicing this even during the pre-pandemic times. So in Kerala, I would say, especially in Cochin, which is a Taiwan city in Kerala, most of the school has already been adopting the whole blended learning. Even before the pandemic, they have started blended all the syllabus, the topics, everything. Through the types of blended learning, through flipped classroom, through hybrid learning and all. Especially in my school, we are following a world curriculum, which is Cambridge Assessment International Education, where they do provide their own digital learning site, where each of the child has to be enrolled and have a lot of learning resources and support resources, where we can learn through a lot of supportive content and also worksheets. All the resources are available. And our school is also following experiential learning. And that's why we do have minimum number of children in a class, and each group of children, each class is actually divided into 2 or 3 groups depending upon their way of learning. And we deliver the content according to their learning way. So definitely we inculcate both video lessons, tutorials, online quizzes, everything, even during the pre-pandemic times. So it's not a new thing for us as a school, but definitely during the pandemic, when schools got shut down, we were fortunate enough that one of our parents themselves were doing this LMS, and we were in process of making our own LMS. So when the pandemic started, we were at the end stage, and we started our own platform where we delivered all our content and learning through our own LMS. That's what we did. Then just recently, last month, our schools in Kerala has reopened. And what we are doing is most of the children are coming. We are doing this kind of hybrid learning system, where in the same class, some will be coming to school and some will be staying at home. So definitely we have to again inculcate this blended learning there also. So definitely, I would say it's the buzzword here. Not only like how the Ms. Khan said, it's all over, taking place in the whole world, and we have entered into a new technological era where even how she said, even the above 60s aunties and even the 2-year-old kids are able to access smartphones, except some are not able to do the real e-learning that has to be taken, which helps them not to miss out any of the learning gap that happens due to pandemic.
Right. So
Thanks,
one
ma'am.
thing that
Thank you.
I want to ask is, ma'am, Jahana ma'am said there is a content part. There is, sir said, obviously there is, see, everything that we do here, LMS, whether we adopt LMS, whether we adopt any other technology in the education, at the end of the day, everything has to be with scores, how much the student is improving, how much well they're doing after adopting this particular method. Like Mridula ma'am said, they were doing it before pandemic. They were not just adopted during pandemic, right? So for them, it was easy to teach students online. I personally have seen people jumping onto Zoom or to Google Meet, which is basically a video conferencing, tools. They are not tools to teach. Basically, if we have to, I have to put it that way. There are tools beyond, live, where you can, teach students online. So my question is that, are these LMSs, are these technology actually helping you to increase the scores of the students? I mean, is this helping students also? Is it just something because we are in this situation, that's why we have adopted it? Or is it something that, okay, we can see there is an increase in scores of the students? That's my question to all of you. In fact, I mean, sir is heading in university, you are a head of a school, ma'am is working with a lot of schools and institutions. So do you see that?
Harsh, it's all about engagement of the child, as a matter of fact, because in a face-to-face learning situation, what type of I would say, like ma'am said, she's from the Cambridge course curriculum, she's delivering to the child out there. And in South India, as a matter of fact, the learning spirit in the child is a bit different to what we have, the type of students we have in Punjab, Haryana, or North India. As a matter of fact, a survey done by NASCOM clearly points out that in terms of English, the South Indian students are much way ahead of students from North India, or for that matter, Pune. Right. So this particular environment that has been created, as a matter of fact, maybe the English schools here in North India, the convents and ICSI board students, schools and private schools that have come up in the last 10-15 years, they have helped a lot. But then this particular pandemic and shifting to the online teaching mode and adopting LMSs, one thing is certain, that we have standardized the methodology of teaching. Right. Now the teacher has to compulsorily work. He has to work on the content, he has to work on the delivery, he has to work on how he has to engage the students. And this has brought in efficiency. So the teacher knows that if he is paid something, yes, he or she will have to deliver. No laxity, as a matter of fact. From that point of view, I think blended learning is being adopted now by the universities, by the affiliated colleges, so that we keep on carry on this particular legacy, that yes, we are being recorded, we are being monitored, we are being watched. Therefore, we have to do our best. So far as scores are concerned, I time and again tell my students here that scores matter only in the Indian system when you want to go adopt higher education, as a matter of fact. So long as it is that you want to go to the industry or you want to do your own business, you have to have the entrepreneurial spirit. It is the applicability of the subject matter that you learn in the class. I just shared with you a very interesting example that happened yesterday. I just visited MBA first semester for a feedback on how things are going on. So one of the students stood up and said, "Sir, we are being taught business mathematics, and there is integration and calculus being taught to us. It's of no use to me." I said, child, in the next semester, you'll be taught what is called applied operations research.
Right.
You will be using, calculations there.
Yeah.
So he just wanted that this particular aspect to be dropped from the syllabi. This syllabus has been designed by experts. It has a meaning. So there are some tough calls the child has to take. He has to bear with them, irrespective of the fact he may like it, he may not like it. But then, yes, it is the teacher who makes things interesting.
Right.
It is the teacher who should make things at ease for the child. And there, we are not teachers now, as a matter of fact. Online learning has gone way ahead. We are mentors. We are coaches.
Right.
So this is another definition, another phrase that has stuck to us, that we are not faculty. We are not teachers alone. We are mentors.
Mentors
And
or facilitators at these days are used.
Exactly. So this is something that has come up. Yeah, this is it.
Okay. So another thing.
I just want to add one more thing to what Dr. Rajiv said. The blended learning. Definitely, our children are not born in our times, right? So their teaching, their learning also should not be limited like how we learned in our own age.
Right.
So they are being equipped, or they are being taught to live in another century, which is about 30 or 50 years ahead of our time. According to me, I'm a school principal. So the child who enters into my school at an age of 2.5 years old, we have children from 2.5 to 15 years old. So that child is going to live in an era where we won't be, it will be existing, where there will be a purple elephant or maybe a black, tiger. We don't know what's going to happen, what they are going to, invent or discover. So we should not stick on with the ways that how we learned in our own times. So they are technology natives, digital natives. They are born into this world and they are getting, used to all these kind of devices in their everyday life. So integrating that into their own learning is actually showing a tremendous or drastic improvement in their learning, I would say. I'm seeing it directly every day in my school. So definitely we have to, integrate and take this blended learning as one of the real prerequisite for learning in future, maybe starting from tomorrow itself. Yeah.
Praveen, ma'am, I'll another add something to what you just said. We heard about the developed nations and the developing nations.
True.
And we talk about the US and the UK as intellectual societies, and a huge gap of about 40 to 60 years between the two of us. But this particular blended learning and online teaching has enabled, it's an enabling, I would say, technology where our students are getting intellectually very strong, as a matter of fact.
Mr. Kumar, sorry to interrupt.
Please.
The intellectual nation CEOs are all Indians.
This is what I was going to say. This is because of the hard work put in by the students and also by the teachers as mentors and coaches. That it is a certain example for all the students who are here today and into learning again, that we are slowly taking up. Earlier it was the Silicon Valley, but today it is all the valley, all of the US, as a matter of fact. Another one gentleman joined yesterday Twitter as the CEO of the Twitter.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm trying to suggest.
Yeah.
We are bridging in the gap, as a matter of fact, of the intellect, and we're doing wonderfully well. So I think blended learning is here to stay, and it's a boon, as a matter of fact, to the students and for the educators as well. So we keep ourselves updated, as a matter of fact. We have to, because otherwise we'll be pushed back.
Yeah. So one question that I have for Praveen ma'am is that I went to your website and I saw that your school is using tablets, right?
Yeah.
They're using technology. Weren't there any questions from parents or concerns from parents or you that, you're putting up tablets and, this is something that is going to affect their eyesight or, maybe intellectually they're going to affect them. So did you get those concerns or was it an easy?
Because fortunately, my group of parents were, thinking same like how the school was thinking. But the grandparents of the same children were really concerned about introducing this technology in the classroom. There is a huge misconception that technology is a distraction from learning, how children's eyes will be affected, their concentration, their way of learning itself will be changing. So most of the grandparents used to ask why there is a need of a smart TV inside a classroom. So they might be just switching on a video and just making time go for the nursery kids and all, especially for the pre-KG. They are so into this YouTube videos and cartoons. So they were actually concerned, saying there might be the school might be just playing something in their classroom and using this technology more than required. But what we have seen is we'll be, as I told you, we are following Cambridge, and most of the activities are through experiential learning. So even the evaporation or water cycles are being taught in a classroom where we just put in some, we will bring in an induction stove, we just keep a vessel to heat, make the water boil, show them what is evaporation, then keep a vessel on that top of that vessel and show them what condensation is. And this is what's happening actually in the oceans, and this is how rain happens and all. And along with this topic, we'll be integrating another video for each topic, a video lesson in the same classroom. So most of the students are audio and visual learners. So they just grasp it directly through, just a 5-minute video. And once they go home, we give them some kind of assessments where they have to say all this to a grandparent or maybe to the parent and just get a video recorded and sent back to the teachers or to the school. So from all this, the grandparents or any other family member who are not really willing to introduce technology that can be used in a right way is, being cleared with all these facts that this is the way that I've been doing. And we'll be keeping on updating all the parents what they did in the school in a day, in a typical day, what they have been doing in this classroom. All the photos, everything will be shared every day to the parents. As we have only minimum number of children in each class, this was practically possible. We have maximum of 15 children in one grade. So all parents were really ready to, know what was happening. And we do have a small WhatsApp group for parents, and we share it every day what they have been doing. So from that, they understood that we are not spending much time for technology and it is not used wisely. And this is how the children have been improving. And that's the results can be just seen through the assignments that have been given every day to them as kind of homework assignments, all these flip grid videos, all this way. So that's how still there are some grandparents who are really worried about their eyes, their specs and everything. Yeah.
I want to come to Jahanara ma'am because she has been working with so many schools and educational institutions. So what is one thing that you're going to tell somebody who is, now thinking of adopting a blended learning? And what is the starting point as some school owners would be? What is the starting point that you want to tell them, like, okay, how would they go about doing it?
Actually, the schools have already started adopting blended learning. Some may not know the term, but if we see in the practical sense, almost every school, that is because now online, even though they are not using a particular LMS through Zoom or through Google Meet or anything, they are by default using blended learning, because some schools are using this strategy. They are calling the students once a week, some are calling twice a week, some are running the same lessons online along with the live or the real-time classes. So if we say that I'm going to tell you something new and I go on telling, they'll say we know it already, we have been doing it already. Just giving it a term blended learning or a platform or any kind of technical is just introducing or renaming something which is already in practice. Over the last 1 or 2 years, since we were forced to, I would say, as Ms. Mridula said this thing, that sometimes when we are not ready to do something which we have to do, the nature pushes us to do something, because what our grandparents taught our parents and our parents taught us, we were not ready to change. Had there not been a pandemic, maybe my children would be studying the same. Just giving a very see, you see that in Malayalam, that see that you do that kind of an old version of mixer grinder, what we call ukli. So in Malayalam there is a word oo, for that they show that picture. Ma'am, I'm getting that word.
Yeah.
So yes, so that they show that picture. Back home in North India, we show that ओखली, for O से ओखली. मेरे बच्चे ने कभी ओखली देखा ही नहीं है. You getting it? So the child who has never seen that thing, you are telling him, see, look at this. This is O. My goodness, where is that O से ओखली? You give that child, you could have given upp, that salt in Malayalam is upp. Instead of showing that child something which is he doesn't see often, you show him something which he sees. So we were not in the mood to change, so the pandemic pushed us, now go change. So even if I say this blended learning, how you are going to introduce, there is no question at all now, because this is already in practice, because we are forced by the pandemic to do it. Had there been no pandemic, we would be still showing that Oakley,
Right.
even to my children's grandchildren.
But I
Because
think I just to interrupt you, I think it's the models that they have to learn, because every school or every educational institution is unique in their own
yes,
sense, right? It's the
definitely.
model that they have to look into, because we all are on Zoom, like maximum of the teachers are on Zoom, but in some areas or in some places,
Out.
like the Zoom or live classes are not comfortable. They're not comfortable with it. Like I would also agree with Sir, with Rajiv sir, that digital India and all this online is all south, right? It's not north. So let's accept that fact. So north is not looking into, this. Let they all want to be, let's do it the old way, the old school way, right? But here what is it's the models that they have to decide what is that they want to achieve through blended, because they're, like ma'am said, there's a term ma'am said, flipped classroom,
Classroom.
right? Where basically the class lectures are given to the students at home, and doubt clearing and homework is done in school, right? So that is flipped classroom. It works for math, right? But it may not work for, let's say, XYZ, another school. So it is the model that we have to work on, because, and that is not clear with the many of the institutions right now.
Harshpal,
Yeah,
see what happens, when we have an LMS, there is something called a dashboard.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
it's like everything is stored, and
right,
everything thing has, every the learner, the also the facilitator, even the learner's parents, everybody has that access. So there is the question or the point of accountability.
right,
Now the teacher knows I'm entering people's houses, even
right,
though I don't want. The family comes to know. Sometimes the grandparents are sitting beside, and they know, oh, teacher ka spelling mistake hai. So they get to know. So the teachers are more. They know am answerable. I'm more accountable. I cannot deny that I didn't do this. There is something recorded, and there is something which can be tallied. So I would say, rather than using Zoom or other platform, if the schools opt for LMS, kind of learning management system, and they can tailor make it for their school's needs. If a school is an umbrella school and they have many schools, they can get it tailor made. And there are some school trusts who run some concession kind of school for some who cannot affordable school, I can say. And the same umbrella school runs a high profile school also, so they can get their or say their everything about the lesson plan, the submission of homework, or the assessment, everything tailor made based on their specific school, running for the specific strata or class of learners, and they can polish it, and they can upgrade it as and when required. But this will enable the factor of accountability, and the lessons will be more deliverable, more result oriented, I would say. So that's from my end.
so I think anything to contribute, anybody, please go ahead, then we'll start off with the final words from everyone.
Yeah,
Sorry sir.
definitely. Yeah, Harsh, even though we say all this, definitely technology can never ever replace great teachers. And especially for the little ones, the children below 10 years definitely need human interaction rather than just complete online learning. That I would definitely agree. But still, technology in the hands of great teachers can be transformational. So that we have to always, think about how well and how wise we can use that technology is where blended learning actually succeeds. So technology can never replace great teachers, but technology in the hands of great teachers can be transformational.
That's great.
Yes,
That's
that's
great.
good, because technology is enabler. It's not replacing the teachers. It's not about replacing the teachers. It's about enabling the teachers to teach in a
Harsh,
more
I
effective.
just wish
Yeah,
to add another thing. You rightly pointed out that in North India, it's basically the vision of the management, as a matter
right,
of fact.
right.
In North India, we have institutions, higher educational institutions, because I'm into that domain, as a matter of fact, where I find when this particular model of leaving education to the private sector was introduced by the central government under educational reforms after 1991. That's what basically to create a ecosystem for right to education for everybody, and it should be made available, as a matter of fact. Here, what has actually happened was it has become more of a commercial part, commercial angle. When we move south, I find that the managements out there, definitely the commercial part is there, but that is to sustain the organization. That is not to milch money out of it. That is not for the self-being, it's for the organization. I just went through the balance sheet of WITS Vellore, WITS Institute of Technology. Right. I find they have got more than a corpus of more than 800 crore rupees saved since inception. Right. And they have a FD for that, and they can pay off the expenses of the teachers, of the faculty members. Now, that's a great thing. The management has been very truthful and honest that the money of the institute is for the institute, and always. That is something very great. So from that point of view, I would say kudos to the South Indian managements. But then this particular thing is lacking in North India. And if this comes in, I think, for example, the Jitkara University, as a matter of fact, they're doing wonderfully well. Right. Both the husband and wife duo are educationists. Yeah. This is what they are able to do. Otherwise, you have the commercial angle. That's why we have this difficulty. Right. So I'll start off with the last words as to, again, blended learning is here to stay, or is it just now? Because we now see a third wave coming up, and in North, at least, there are schools which are shutting down again, and we have cases, of the new variant, and there is still uncertainty. And I think in primary schools of Delhi has already shut down. Parents are not sending, and the schools have taken decision to shut down the primary section. So anything that you, last words, are you guys all prepared for the third wave? If just to add a humor to it, so are you guys prepared for the third wave?
Harshpal, I'll share an interesting anecdote here. See, I'm actually, my heart goes out to the little ones who are about to start their first learning years, and that year the pandemic broke out. So after this pandemic, when we got pre-KG, KG kids enrolled in our online platform, and we conducted a real-time, first-time parents meeting for the younger ones. And it was so pleasantly surprising for them, and they were shocked. Teacher comes out of the screen, and that was the reaction of the child. Oh, she comes out of the TV. Right. She comes out of the computer screen. So a few children reacted like that. They felt like she's somebody like Dora who speaks an interactive cartoon. And when they saw the teacher in the real sense, so actually the grown-ups are enjoying maybe, but they'll understand the outcome or the upshot of it when they are in the job market. But the younger ones, I really feel sorry for them if it is going to close the next time, that is the third wave. And God knows how many waves are going to come. So we don't know. It's like some guest is coming. You prepared the bets. He's coming. So, but the little ones, I'm really feeling sorry for them, because the social skills are developed in the primary years of school, and the children are not getting that interaction, the skills of that interaction, the socializing skills, communicating, fine motor skills and all that, So it's really very, it's actually disturbing, and we can't do much about it.
Right. So, anything else before we sign off?
Thank you so much for a wonderful session.
Yeah, same here, and we'll be in touch and keep on discussing more about technology. Not just technology, we have so many things happening. I think the NAP, which was due to be launched in, I think, 2024, was launched early just because of the pandemic. I believe a lot of things got accelerated because of the pandemic. And I think I would like, Jahanara ma'am has put up on her LinkedIn profile that we have to do a lot of unlearning before we start learning. So we have to, even teachers have to maybe upskill themselves, have to, improve. I have personally encountered certain teachers who lack communication skills. Like sir said, you have to engage students, so you have to be no longer the one who just comes on and writes on the blackboard. You have to be more interesting. So that's there.
I just want to add something to it.
Yeah, sure.
Usually, all these edutech CEOs are the backbenchers of a school where they didn't really get what the teacher said, just not because they are dumb. They just can't get what the teacher is communicating. So you actually found or invented a new way of delivering things where others will be really benefited from the classroom. So most of the edutech CEOs are backbenchers. Who are not really good in memorizing the Indian way of education. That's what I have heard. So just now you said that you also encountered few teachers in your own life. So
Yeah.
I think that made you, to develop your own company with like Tabschool.
Yeah, so for me it was two subjects. I was very sort of maths and history were very tough, I found, and now I find history to be very interesting. Then because thanks to these biopics also, which contribute in the interest in the students, later on in life. Then they make it. So that's from my end. Thank you all for your time. And we will be remaining in touch. We will be talking about education, not just technology. We have more sessions coming soon. So thank you all. Thank you for joining us and giving your precious time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Congratulations, Ashwant, to starting your first webinar and giving us a chance to be the part of the first webinar itself. So we are so glad. Let the webinar series continue and have all your success. Rajiv sir and Janara,
thank you
so much for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Take care. God bless
Bye.
you.
Bye.